Well, you can certainly feel it in the air. It is the first day of spring and it is getting warmer up here where we're at. We're finally getting out of our hibernation. Air temps are creeping into the low to mid 50s and soil temps are also creeping up pretty sharply upwards into the 40-degree mark. The season is right around the corner. Man, it is the middle of March and I feel like I am out here way too early. I feel like I'm about to jinx something out here, but nonetheless, let's get a look at how she looks. Before we get started, be sure to click that like button, click that subscribe button, and turn that bell feature on so you're always in the know of what's coming down the pipeline from my channel to yours so we can tackle our lawn journey together. You know, based upon our winter that we had, it was really harsh, and I gotta say, I was expecting it to look a lot worse than it does. So most of you know I'm in Minnesota and we're probably one of the last regions to get out of this winter dormancy phase. So what are the things that I'm looking for when we get out into the first look? The biggest thing for me is just understanding what damage has been done by our harsh winters. And with Kentucky bluegrass and perennial ryegrass, there's a lot of grass that's probably folded over, that's been susceptible to snow mold, most notably, that we need to kind of look and take a good assessment to see where we might need to rake some areas out and just fix before we actually start digging into the season. And for me, I've got 2 young kids, so a lot of this is just playing around in the winter, sledding down, rolling around, wrestling. It does mat down the grass because it mats down the snow, which weighs down that grass. We need to fluff those areas up. I also have a mulch bed that's surrounding our entire landscape that just naturally when you go out into the yard, mulch chips make their way into the yard. They need to be blown back in with like a leaf blower, or you can just rake them up. So it's things like that that we just want to pay attention to when we walk around and just take note and assessment of what we need to go fix, what we need to go assess before we can actually go out and start the lawn season. Let's go check out my yard, see what damage I need to go see what we need to assess before we start firing up the lawnmower and all of that. One of the easiest feelings in the springtime is to take a look out on the lawn and realize, oh my gosh, what happened to it because it looks so bad. Most of this is just dormant, right? But if we take a look at what this looked like last year, it's very easy to understand, very easy to feel like your lawn is ruined. But it will pop back, it will take time. When these soil temps are creeping up like they just did this week, there's going to be very, very fast recovery time periods, and this is going to green up pretty quickly. You can see here in the front of our yard, right outside of the street, this is where all of the snow piled up pretty high throughout the winter, where the snow plows through it, where all of that road and salt debris came from. I can see a little bit of snow mold here as well, but this is just an area of just swamp. A, it's too wet to walk on, but then B, once this dries out and it gives a chance, we'll want to take a leaf blower, take a rake, and get all of that debris out of there, just so we can get as much as we possibly can out before we start the season. So now we're in the backyard, and outside of giving my front yard some time to air out and then remove debris, my backyard got hit pretty hard with snow mold in some areas that were covered in deeper snowpack. Snow mold's very easily identifiable. It looks like almost like a soap spot is on your lawn sitting on crusted grass. These are generally in nature pretty mild, but some of these can get pretty severe, and if not treated right, you're gonna just have some problems later on. It's generally nothing to worry about. Take a rake, gently rake out the snow, fluff up the grass, and let that area breathe out, and it will take care of itself as the weather does get warmer a little bit. Like I said, some do have a little bit more severe cases, but in almost all cases, if taken care of, they will take care of themselves. So you can see in this picture, the dark green area up at the top is where I fluffed up some of the snow mold. You can just tell what difference that makes versus an area that is left untouched. So what else am I thinking about right now? It's gonna get a little bit warmer where I'm at. Most of you are probably warm enough where you can do this, but I'm also thinking about getting a soil test done. You can do this with a soil probe that I use. There's a bunch of different places that you can do that. I'll link down where I've got mine. You could also do this with something as simple as an apple core or a shovel. You just wanna get something that goes down 4 to 6 inches deep. I've got an entire video on that I'll link here that you can go watch to learn a little bit more about what a soil test does, how it's it's going to be beneficial and how you can map out your season. And then once you get the soil test, it's ultimately trying to understand what products you're going to need to support the results from that test, to support your lawn. Next, we want to think about products that we're going to need and get them early. With everything going on in the world right now, fertilizer prices and supply are going to be a little bit higher, and they're going to be a little bit short in terms of what's going to be available for you in maybe a reactive situation. So planning ahead is going to be key here. Get your soil test done early and get the results back early enough where then you can plan ahead your entire program, if you're able to, in the best case scenario, to then have all the product that you need to go and support your lawn. One of the products that I'm going to be putting down fairly soon here, soil temperatures are right around that 40-degree mark where I'm at currently, is pre-emergence, and deciding whether or not you're going to be doing a seeding project or tackling weeds this year. For me, I'm in weed tackling mode, so I'm going to be putting pre-emergent down. I'm going to be using a barricade product to go put that down, and that's going to create that vapor barrier around all of those different weed seeds right when the soil temperatures hit about that 55-degree mark, when the seeds start germinating, to prevent any weed problems from taking over my lawn this summer. If you do plan on doing any seeding, that's not saying that you can't tackle weeds. Just know that you're not going to be able to attack them as well while you're seeding or before you're seeding. If you use a pre-emergent product like Barricade or Dimension, you can't seed at the exact same time, so that's a big no-no. No, don't seed and use any of those products, otherwise your grass seed will not get past the germination phase and then die off. That's not to say you can't put grass seed down and tackle the weeds at the same time. There is a product out there, or a couple products out there with an active ingredient called mesotrione, most commonly found in the product like Tenacity, and you will put the grass seed down, apply the Tenacity product with it, and probably do a split application about 4 to 6 weeks later, as it is a selective product and it will not tackle the grass seeds that you're trying to germinate. Lastly, what else can we start getting prepped up for? Maybe you're just ready and excited to get out into the lawn like I am. You've been cooped up for a very, very long winter and you're just excited for the season to start. So very soon here, obviously we've got the products to consider that I mentioned earlier, but it's also time to check up on all of your equipment. Do any oil changes. Make sure that if you want to clean your equipment, you can do so before the season starts, and really just take care of some of those checklist items that are getting ready for the season. And if your garage looks anything like mine, organization is a pretty hot topic this time of year, to try to figure out what we all just dumped all throughout the winter time and what we can take care of to make this area just make it itself look a little bit neater to take care of. That'll do it for this episode. I've got some raking to do. I've got some garage organization to do. So with that, we'll catch you on the next episode. We'll see you soon.